All right, Adventure Beyond Borders, exploring the world through extreme sports. And joining me now on the stage, Ash Dykes, extreme athlete, adventurer, and explorer. Please welcome him to the stage. Can I have you here? And our second guest is David Lafargue, base jumper and adventurer. Please welcome him to the stage. Thank you. Can I have you here on the orange one? Thank you. And our next guest is Johnny Ward, adventurer, entrepreneur, and storyteller. Please welcome him to the stage. Hello, welcome. Can I have you on the green one? And last but not least, of course, Tima Daryan, adventurer and mindset coach. Please welcome her to the stage. Welcome. Studio is yours. All right, welcome all.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. This is such a topic that I never studied before. But when I studied each one of you's, journeys, what you guys all achieved, like very remarkable. I'm truly inspired by what I came across with. So it's a true pleasure for me to share the stage with you all. And I'm sure myself and the audience here will learn many valuable insights about the challenges you come across during your journey, and also many more inspirational thoughts, I would say. So thank you for being here.
Appreciate that.
I'd like to start with you, Ash.
Yes.
It's a mild question.
Uh-huh.
So you crossed deserts, jungles, mountains in many different countries around the world, and clearly you want to do more. What keeps you wanting more?
I think it's the curiosity to not only explore the world, but to see how far I can go physically and mentally as well. And once I've sort of explored one environment, being the jungle, and I learned so much about that local area that I'm in, the people that live there, about myself, I want to almost become a beginner all over again. So then I'll dive straight into the middle of the Gobi Desert. But I think, from a young age, photos on magazines or watching shows like the David Attenborough show, I always got quite frustrated because I didn't want to just sit there and watch the TV. I wanted to be out there amongst it, experiencing it, but also creating my own experiences. But it all started on a very low budget, of course, so I had to climb the ladder.
Is that curiosity part of the mental prep you're having for each one of your adventure or journey?
It is, yeah. I would say it's probably 70% mindset and 30% physical, because everything that I faced from, followed by bears, followed by a pack of wolves, being held up at gunpoint by the military, contracting malaria, crossing crocodile-infested rivers, and then having over 10 members of the team evacuated. All of that, I like to say, I'm mentally prepared for, because I was always visualizing worst case scenario. So when worst case scenario unfortunately happened, it didn't happen by shock or by surprise. It happened as something that I anticipated. Now I must tackle it.
Mm-hmm. Also the fear factor during the mental prep. For example, when I went to southeastern or western Turkey, there are like paragliders everywhere, and if I'm traveling with a group of friends, part of the group would say, "Oh, let's do paragliding." I'm like, "No, I can't." I'm afraid of doing it. Is it like some people are just, like that? They just okay with that? There's no fear factor?
No.
Or just like, how do you deal with it if you have the fear factor as well?
Yeah, for me personally, the fear factor is definitely there. It's definitely there. So the first world record I did was a solo and unsupported crossing across Mongolia, completely solo and unsupported. And there was a previous guy who had attempted it. He was a Navy soldier. He was stalked by wolves. You know, he faced snow blizzards, sandstorms, but he was ultimately evacuated 3 times by helicopter. And when I learned about that, my fear just exploded. I was scared. I actually looked at a safer country to walk across originally. So the fear factor was there. I think it's just managing how you sort of see or anticipate things going wrong. And it's about also breaking it down into lots of little sections. I think when you look at big obstacles or challenges or something that you're scared of, I think it's important to break it down into lots of little steps to make it a little bit more realistic and obtainable to yourself. And that's what I had to do with the Yangtze River. That was 4,000 miles. It took 352 days to complete. And along the way, of course, there were lots of impossible moments. But when you look and you analyze the impossible moments and realize they are actually possible, it's just I'm bunching them all together. But if I break them all down, separate them, and focus on every single day as it comes, it's always achievable. So it's about managing that element for sure.
That's really helpful, isn't it? How many of you here are like into extreme sports? Is there anyone practicing extreme sports here? Can I see the hands? Yeah, there are some people. Yeah. What are you guys doing? You can just shout. Snowboarding. Nice. What else? What? Freediving. Oh, nice. And? That's an extreme sport, isn't it? Yeah, working and surviving every day. Okay. David, I'm going to all ask you about the mental prep, but first I'd like to mention a little bit of your background. You're raised on a sailboat, is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
And you're currently living in your van, is that also correct?
Exactly, I've been almost a gypsy all my life.
Totally an unconventional lifestyle, and it's truly remarkable. We'll ask about that because I think it has a lot to do with the pressures coming from the society when it comes to fitting into the society. But I'd like to ask you about how these backgrounds, like traveling with your father during your early years and all, led you to where you are right now.
Well, growing up on the sailboat made me very familiar with change because every week I was going to a new country, a new island, making new friends, introducing myself to new people, learning new languages, and extreme sports and adventures, they're just novelty. By training novelty and doing the first step all the time, it became my norm, and it encouraged me to seeking for the unknown my entire life. And for me, it's not a difficulty or something I need to overcome. It's just my norm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other aspect is the social pressure. A lot of people stop themselves from achieving their dream because they're afraid to be judged, they're afraid to fail. I learned very early that you don't achieve great things while listening to the opinion of others. That unconventional lifestyle was not necessarily validated by the rest of the family or by people around, by the responsible adults, but we kept doing with my dad what we did, and it led to an amazing life.
And I'm sure it also affected your approach to risk-taking. I'll ask you more about that in a bit. I'm sure that it...
Yes,
and I'll ask you what happened with your arm, to be honest. Maybe we should ask it now. Are you okay? Geçmiş olsun in Turkish, get well soon in English.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I had a wingsuiting accident 10 days ago, which is part of the game. For me, every time if I participate into a sport, it's because I'm ready to face the consequences. And be ready for the worst case scenario is totally part of the game. So in that case, I'm a bit diminished, but it's fine.
Okay, we'll talk about responsible risk-taking. Again, get well soon. Johnny,
Hi.
people say you visited every country. Is that true?
Yes, 100.
Oh my God, how many countries is that?
It's a bit political, actually, but for about 200.
About 200.
Yeah.
Wow, is there a favorite among those?
Now I live in Thailand, so I guess Thailand's my choice. But it was 12 years full-time travel until I finished it, thankfully.
And like while visiting, of course, like you are doing trekking, climbing, and also you are running an online blog to inspire others. And you have also a remarkable journey starting from teaching English for some, for a very humble amount per month to completing, like holding world records and completing this Ultimate Explorers Grand Slam. It's truly remarkable, like every one of you has a remarkable story. I'd like to ask you, how did you, because I think if you want to be in extreme sports, you also have some sort of financial independence. How did you pass the financial barriers, then maybe physical and mental barriers?
For me, it was quite it was kind of I've lived two lives. So I grew up in quite a difficult situation. My father was in prison my whole life, and I grew up on welfare just with my mom and me and my sister. So we were broke. So growing up in Ireland, I would see other people going to Spain on holiday or to France on holiday, or maybe the richer kids would go to the USA on holiday, and I would just stay in Ireland all my life, right? So then I went to university in England, and then at 22, I was free, and I just hit the road. I just dreamt of growing up like that. I just always dreamt of being free, both financially free, but free of a boss to tell me, please, sir, can I go on holiday? I never wanted anything like this, right? But then it just comes down to sacrifice. So I had no money to start traveling either. So I did this thing. Do you know what medical research is?
I do, I guess. Yeah.
So I got locked in a hospital for 5 weeks, and then I've still got a scar on my arm here, actually. And they give you like 20 injections every day to test these drugs.
Yeah.
And then can they put it into the market or not? And that gave me, I think, $3,000. And with that money, I flew to Thailand one way, started teaching English, and then I started my blog. And my blog was, for a lot of people here, and also for me, when you see people climbing Everest or going to the South Pole or visiting every country in the world, it's always just rich kids, you know what I mean? Or in English we say like posh kids. And so if you come from like working class background, people say, did you dream of this? And did you dream of doing that? You don't even dream of these things when you come from like a background like mine, right? And then I started doing these things, and I wanted to have a website to show like, I come from these shitty background too, and I'm doing cool stuff. You can do cool stuff too. And that was my journey in that.
That's amazing. And it's called One Step Forward, and your surname is
Ward. Yeah.
I like the word.
Thank you.
It always works, right, to get attention. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Tima. So you're the first Lebanese woman to climb Mount Everest. It's not easy to climb Mount Everest. We have many people who survive doing that. Unfortunately, there are many, tragic incidents as well. And you completed the 7 summits, and also you did skiing to the South Pole. And skiing for me is like the most extreme sport ever. I can't imagine I'm doing anything other than that. So I'm sure you've been going through some inner mindset shifts while these were all happening. And I'm sure while doing mindset coaching right now, you're using all those experiences. Like, tell us more about that.
When I started for the love of sports, of adventure. I've been always looking for things that I actually like. And I was looking for things that would boost my confidence all the time. And sports was that thing. And when I found mountaineering, and I found myself in mountaineering, I come from a background of finance. And I never liked finance. I was in finance for about 7 years, and I just did not like it. So when I climbed Everest, and I've done about 25 high-altitude mountains, I realized a lot of shifts within me was happening, especially my mindset. So I went and I specialized in mindset coaching, and little did I know, I was putting two major things together that made complete sense for anyone, whether on the mountain or off the mountain. So things that actually changed my mindset through the mountains is, one, how I look and perceive failure. So the first time I failed on the mountain, I just wanted to give up on mountaineering. It was my second mountain. I was climbing the highest mountain in South America. It was Aconcagua. And I came down just 400 meters before the summit, and I felt completely defeated. And I thought maybe I should just give up on mountaineering. It's very expensive. It's very time-consuming. But then I realized, you know what? I have a bigger dream, and failure is just a stepping stone towards success. So I started looking at failure in a way where it's. So I want you all to imagine with me. Failure is just a coin, and you have about 50 coins, and those 50 coins, once you use them, you will get to your goal. So I started using those coins, and I see failure as those coins because I know it's just another coin, and I'm one step closer to success. So that was one of the major mindset shifts. Another one is I started talking to myself instead of listening to myself, and I thought that was life-changing, especially when you cross those ladders on Everest. Your mind is telling you not to do it. You're so scared. But then when you start telling yourself, I can do it, just take one more step, let's go, the narrative within changes, and that makes all the difference. And finally, the last one, it's never about being fearless. It's always about being brave. Nobody is born without fears. I have fears, and I believe we all here have fears. And it's just about how you actually do what you love or what you're scared of, and you just do it knowing that you're scared. And that's called being brave. So it's never about being fearless, it's about being brave.
Wow, that's very true, and it really resonates with me. Thank you. When I started doing yoga, it's not an extreme sport, obviously, but there was this bridge pose, and every time when it came to the bridge pose, I was unable to do it. And when the instructor came to me, why you're not even trying? I said, like, because I can't do it. I know it's a difficult pose. I won't be able to do it. She said, but you're not trying. Like, you need to try it first to see if you can do it. Then I noticed it's all in my head. I'm just telling myself I can't do it so that I'm not even trying. Then I managed to do it at the end. So it's been a couple of years for me to overcome, but I think, it really resonates with me what you said. So Yangtze River journey in China. Wow, it's all over the internet, man. So you're holding the world record, trekking all along the Yangtze River. How many miles is that?
It was 4,000 miles.
Wow, what was the most interesting thing you saw?
Oh, I think it had to be the bears. So the bears were now coming off the mountains because it was too cold.
Yeah.
So they were coming down, searching for calories, actively hunting before they go into torpor season, which is their version of hibernation. And I was minding my own business. I had this sort of Western mentality of you leave the bears alone and the bears will leave you alone, thinking that was legit. But the locals told me otherwise. They were saying you are here in the wrong season at the wrong time. You need to pick up your pace, get off the mountains. And not only that, they then start to show me photos and videos of bear attacks, of people who were mauled, of the bears who had entered into sort of the gurs or the yurts of the people in West China or Tibet. And of course I did pick up my pace. So I'd say either the bears, either the wolves, because we were followed by a pack of wolves for 2 days. Only the day after that they had literally just killed a local. Or potentially, being at minus 25 for 6 months, camping out in the tent and just having so many members evacuated for so many different reasons. So it was the first expedition that I was on the satellite phone to my dad, had a little bit of signal. That was the first time I questioned what I was doing, because pretty much everything that I just told you, to include facing interrogation by the police 5 times, losing 5 members, I think, at that stage, all of that was within like 10 days. Yet I still had 342 days left. So that's why I really had to focus on what was in front of me. Tomorrow was another day type of thing.
342 days.
352 altogether. But it was brutal. The Yangtze just chewed up a lot of people and spat them out.
I mean, it's obvious it was brutal. Most of your team members had to drop out, right?
Yes.
And did it demotivate you? I mean, of course, it must be, right? No?
It did, yeah, because I think you complete a journey like that, and you got the Guinness World Record, it's Nat Geo show, but they're only going to talk about and showcase the highlights. But what people don't see is the mundane stuff that happens in between. Like, there were days that I would just have to do a marathon a day, every day, on my own, like really boring, really lonesome. I think I went over 8 days without seeing a single human, which does all sorts to your mindset as well. And so, there were a lot of down, but that's with anything we face in life, We're always there's always something that we're working towards. And you'll have a lot of naysayers, you'll have a lot of people who disbelieve it or just don't see it for you. But, my message there is it doesn't matter if no one else doesn't see it for you. What's important is that you see it for yourself and you keep moving towards whatever vision or dream it is, and you just protect it and keep going.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it very briefly, but what do you think the role of leadership when we apply this to real life journey, role of leadership and these team dynamics, maybe under pressure, because there is pressure, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, what was the most important thing you learned maybe from that?
Oh, you know, there would be a long answer. I think there's so much that I've learned on all of the different, so it's been 5 world records up to now, and each one of them has been in different environments where I've been joined by different people. I think the biggest thing is being willing to adapt around with the people who are around you, but also willing to hide your emotions as well. I think it was North Madagascar where we were lost in the jungle. We were hunting, we were gathering, we were sort of machete in hand. We had spiders, leeches falling down our tops. Just for a grim example, you'd take off your top for a good night's sleep, and you'd have to pull 6, 7 leeches and flick them out the tent at night. And you can see the team around you slowly starting to crumble, and I was crumbling too. I had no motivation. None of us wanted to be there in that time. But I somewhat had to suppress my feelings and emotions because I knew that the team now are looking towards you know, the person who can potentially be upbeat, because I've faced this many times before. So that was potentially the hardest, was actually putting my vulnerabilities and emotions to the side and putting on this fake brave face so that the rest could see, okay, there is a way through, there is a path. Because at that time, and again, that's another message for the audience is, you know, no matter what you face in life, you can't always be motivated, but you can be disciplined. And it was the discipline that kept us all moving forwards.
So it's also about, of course, maybe you would also agree with this, not having emotions. It's not about not having emotions, having the emotions, but learning how to navigate through them rather than, no, I don't fear, rather than, no, I'm not upset right now because they dropped out. Like, acknowledging them, they're there, but maybe overcoming, I mean.
That's what makes you brave.
Yeah.
Acknowledging them and knowing they're there and choosing to go through it instead of avoiding it.
Yeah, it's a lot of mind work, right?
Yes.
It's hard job.
But you can get there.
Yeah.
Everyone can get there.
I mean, clearly you're doing it. He's a base jumper. You did how many jumps? Like hundreds of jumps in dozens of countries, right?
Nearly 2,000 base jumps.
Wow.
27 different countries. And people often ask me about the fear in base jumping, and they imagine we're fearless, which is actually not the case. I am absolutely terrified at an exit point. I am as scared today on a jump as I was 13 years ago when I started, but I just know better how to manage that fear. I know myself better. I know how to visualize my jump, how to rationalize what's going to happen, how to do breath work. And in the end, the danger will always be the same, but you are improving as a person in terms of technical skills, but also in terms of mental strength.
Okay, before moving to Johnny, do you have any favorite locations when it comes to jumping?
So many of them.
Maybe 1, 2, 3 are fine.
Italy and Norway are my favorite countries. Amazing, beautiful mountains with incredible terrain to fly, trees, beautiful fjords and rivers and lakes. It's just, it's a paradise. You could just sit and admire the nature, and it will be already worth it, but you are buzzing trees at 200 km an hour, and that's even more fun.
Johnny, we are talking about managing fear, emotions, and acknowledging them, mind work and all. How do you think being involved in extreme sports and doing what you guys are doing can contribute to our personal growth in general, maybe compared to conventional sports? How does it differ?
I think, like, the theme of bravery, I think the cliche is absolutely true that you need fear to be brave, right?
Yeah.
So we need to have the fear in order to be brave. But also, I think something that's dangerous in the era of social media is that if you have an online profile where you're doing adventures and stuff like all of us here and many other people do, unfortunately, it's in our interest for us to pretend like, hashtag built different, I've done this and I've done that, and I'm so cool and I'm so strong and I train so hard. And like, I really try to push back against that because I don't believe it's true at all. To do these cool things, it's literally, I'm the same as everybody else, and everyone I know who's done other cool stuff is the same as everybody else here. It's literally just making the decision to do it and then fully committing to it. And I truly mean that. people who do these amazing things are not some superhero, even if they try to tell you that they are. We're the same as everybody else. We just made that decision. And then you see something online, an opportunity to go somewhere crazy, or to run across the Sahara, or to trek across Greenland, or whatever. People here, you can just do it. Just sign up to it, 6 months, and in 6 months you can do it. And that's what bravery is. It's to make a decision and to commit to it. And anyone can do it. No one's better than anyone. It's truly, honestly, the truth. And these kind of things come out as cliches. Anyone can do it. Until you know that you're a normal person. I'm a normal person who's done loads of amazing things. And I am probably less physically gifted than the average person, and I'm doing it. So everyone can truly do it. And it's very frustrating for me when I see other people with public profiles saying, like, I'm so cool, and like hashtag built different, I think is the worst message you can give, because you're not built different. You made a choice and you did it, and well done. And anyone can make that choice and do it.
Also, I'd like to ask you about, while making this decision, how do you think support from family, friends, loved ones make a difference?
Yeah, this is a tricky one, especially, the concept of like ego is your enemy.
Yeah.
We all have to accept, I think people doing these crazy things, like ego is part of the journey. You're doing this a lot of the time for yourself, and as you get older, it becomes more difficult because you're more aware of mortality, especially when you're doing really crazy things. Yeah. And on that note, knowing that most of the people here are young, between like 18, 25, whatever, at university, this is why I would encourage people to do this stuff when you're young, because it does get progressively more difficult. You've got more things to lose as you get older. I've just had a kid recently, 5 months ago, and last month I was in Syria and I was in Libya, and I was in the streets of Tripoli, and I've been in Libya before, but like, I have a video on my phone that we ended up in this shootout in the streets of Tripoli. I've been in these tricky situations in Angola, in Mogadishu, and Somalia before, but now I have my baby. When I hear the gunfire now, I'm like, what am I doing here? My ego has brought me back here, but now I have so much to lose, Yeah. So I would encourage people to do it more in their 20s, because as you hit 30s, and I recently turned 40, it's a little bit of a different
Are you guys all hearing that? Yeah. It's like, most likely, your baby is the first thing coming to your mind when there is a risky situation is happening. So guys, please. Yes. All right. About challenges, difficulties, barriers, as a woman, as in every industry, of course, sorry to say this, I'm sure you come across with some disadvantages, challenges, and difficulties specifically for the female athletes or female adventurers and explorers. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that, and if you came across something very specific, if you can tell us, how did you overcome that?
To choose to climb mountains as a girl from the Middle East was already something very difficult. And bear in mind, I'm the first Lebanese woman to do it in 2019, because in the Middle East, such sport wasn't there. There are few people that you can count. Yeah. So for a woman to say, I'm going to go out and climb as much mountains as I can, including the 7 summits, I want to ski the South Pole, that was too big for me to dream. I had to break the barriers of family. I had to break barriers of values, of me just making the decision on taking on a plane and just leaving. Society. I started when I was about 22 years old, but I was into other extreme sports before that. So when I did my first mountain, it was already hard to explain to people what I was doing, and everyone viewed it as it wasn't something that a normal Arab girl would do. Yeah. So I wanted to change things, and I kept on doing it. But halfway through the process, when I was climbing those mountains, and I realized how other women were using my story as an example to make a point for people, Arab women can do this. I know this girl who did that, and I know other girls who also climbed mountains and did other cool things. So to me, it wasn't just climbing a mountain for myself. It became a bigger purpose. It was climbing mountains for women. Women were climbing with me. Stories of other women, I was carrying it to the summit. Yeah. So things that I believe I was able to do some impact is help women break their own barriers, find their own authentic voice, and carve their own path, especially Middle Eastern women, being a Middle Eastern woman myself, because I know the struggles that we go through for us to reach something. For example, when let's say I went to climb a mountain in North America, in Denali. The first thing people ask, what is someone like you doing here? You're a woman, You're in North America and you're coming from Dubai, from a desert, and
Yeah.
like, how's your dad allowing you to do this? So for us to change the image for the world, like, we are still doing stuff. We are strong. We can do things. Was already a challenge. So another thing is changing the image of a Middle Eastern woman, what a woman can do. And we're not behind. We're really ahead of the game. We're smart. We're brave. We're in big different positions. All women are advancing, and I feel my responsibility is to show that in sport. And finally, to change the perception of for girls and boys, I started writing children's book. So I wrote 2 books, one about Mount Everest and one about the South Pole, to inspire children to dream big and never give up, and to show Middle Eastern girls and girls around the world, of course, that anything is possible, that we don't have limits, that we are brave, and if we set anything, we can achieve it.
Yeah, that's very powerful. Yeah. I want to ask you many, many questions, but unfortunately, we are on a limited time frame here. So I'd like to continue with the power of technology and importance of social media, because you were live streaming your journey, Yangtze journey, with the global online audience. What was the major impact that you saw here? And how do you think it's important when it comes to inspiring people?
Yeah, it's a very good one, because at the beginning, early days, I wasn't sharing any journey. I wasn't on any social media. I was just doing it for the pure passion. But then once I returned and the story sort of got this media and this press, and the message that I got from it, one of the top ones was it was inspiring other people to go after their goals or their dreams. But another key one is environmental awareness has always been close to my heart. And I was on the forefront of that, and I was actually able to share live news and the location of wherever I was with the wider audience as well. So I thought, okay, I wonder if I can keep going and sharing the journey, where will it get to? And I did, and there's pros and cons, because social media, you know, as you know with the blogging as well, it's a full-time job. Like doing it at home is hard enough on its own. Now going to the middle of the Amazon and then trying to get a little spot within the jungle canopies open to the sky where you can connect to the internet to share these stories was also a nightmare, because I promised to everyone I would be doing this. But again, it was really difficult. But it paid off. It's amazing, because you are able to really share real life stories. You're able to partner up with the real unsung heroes, which are the conservation workers and the environmentalists risking their life to protect the unique biodiversity, to help clear the waterways, especially down the Yangtze River. I found that where there was no people, it was, of course, at its purest. And it was about 1.5 to 2,000 miles in. As soon as you come across more people, you then begin to see the damage. But the beauty is, and I'm sure these guys can vouch as well, is there are still really wild places out there. I was dropped 7 months ago in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, on the greenest country on the planet, and we didn't see a single human in 34 days. We were coming across wildlife that had never seen a human before, that would just stare. It was like you prey. We came across a jaguar, and it's like figuring us out if we are a threat, if we are food. And so we would notice that they would react very differently to. And of course, because of the internet, we were able to make these logs. And I partnered up with Free the Wild, and we were able to send back all of this vital information about different species within the jungle live time, so that they could see with the correct coordinates. So it is a game changer. It really does help throughout the journeys.
Yeah. And since we said online, you're also having a thriving online business. What sort of impact you're having when it comes to inspiring young people here? I mean, they're only here because they most likely see the ads on Instagram, or they were notified on, for example, one of you guys' website or somewhere else. So what is the real impact here?
It's such a double-edged sword, because on one hand, social media has allowed all of us to be able to make a living and to do these amazing adventures, right? But then, and that can inspire other people to also break out of their comfort zone and do these crazy things. So that's the good side of it. We can make money, we can inspire people, and it allows us to live the lives that we can live. That's amazing. But then you get the other side, during COVID, I took a rowboat from Africa to South America for 2 months across the Atlantic Sea, rowing.
Yeah.
And again, you don't see anyone for 2 months, like dolphins and whales, and actually we have a like a Starlink speaking to your family, and of course that's nice, but we're having to deal with sponsorship stuff, like you're talking about getting internet in the Amazon. I'm having to find a connection so I can tweet about some bloody GPS company who's paid me to be there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it ruins the romance of the true adventure. That is the brutal reality. And
Yeah.
I was just in the South Pole also 15 months ago.
Yeah.
And again, it's such this untouched white desert,
Yeah.
except it's not untouched. They also have Starlink there now too.
Yeah.
So people are on Facebook and Instagram in the South Pole. So then you have to, it's probably still a net gain because
Yeah.
it's allowing other people to see these amazing places and hopefully
Yeah.
one day make the journey there themselves.
Yeah.
But it does remove the true
Yeah.
romance of the
Yeah.
adventure, sadly.
Yeah. Well, very interesting. And I mean, we are kind of running out of time, but I have to come to you and then come to you. I want to ask you about this responsible risk-taking issue because you founded a school on base jumping.
Responsible.
It's really important. I think it's a really important concept because risk-taking, how to take it responsibly, because that's something you're advocating at your school. And tell us more about that, but a bit briefly, please. Yeah.
I think everyone has a personal relation to risk. Everyone has a different things to lose. Microphone?
Yeah. Mike, can you please have the microphone? No.
Does it work?
I think it's working now. Can you guys hear him?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I think everyone has a different perception of risk and relation to risk because we don't have the same things to gain, the same thing to lose. So it's a personal approach. I am ready to take risk. It's a risk-reward ratio,
Yeah.
and for me, it's always a calculation about what are the potential consequences, what are the risks of facing those consequences, and is my pleasure worth it? So I have the answer for myself, and I try to teach my students how to analyze it correctly for themselves. Are you doing it for fame? Are you doing it for social media? Are you doing it to feed your ego? What are the reasons why you are ready to face that risk, and
Yeah.
is the risk worth it?
Yeah.
But it's a personal
Yeah.
judgment.
Is the risk worth it? Is the, I think, highlight here. Is the risk worth it? And before we go, I'd like to hear from you your main advice to the young people here who are seeking a balanced life, who want to be into these kind of activities, extreme sports, but also want to have a sustainable life. What's your advice?
I don't think everyone is into climbing mountains and extreme sports. I mean, it's hard and you really need
Yeah.
to be so passionate about it. But my advice for all the young people who are planning or have a dream, have a goal, and they want to achieve it, start young. You have to try. I had to try so many sports, and I'm just talking about sports, but everything in life. I started trying since I was about 14 years old. Different sports, from basketball, from swimming, from skydiving, until I actually found mountaineering. So find it sooner, because once you find it sooner and start getting good at it at a younger age, it pays off later on in life. The second thing I would say is there's always a way. Whatever problem you face in life, whatever challenge you have, remember there's always a way. When we get stuck somewhere on the mountain and we can't see, we know that there's always a way above the clouds. We just need to be patient, and we need to be focused, and we need just to keep on looking until we find our way. So don't panic, find your way, and just keep on going and smashing it. And you will never be motivated. You just need to show up, because if you truly want to achieve your dream, you got to do whatever it takes. So show up and go after it.
Well, yes, you guys are all here the symbols of that there's always a way motto, I would say. Unfortunately, we have to leave it here, but maybe another day we can have more discussions like that, because there were other topics I also wanted to cover. And you guests, you can catch them around here. You guys will be around. You can ask questions. And I thank you all for being here. I learned so much from your journeys, and I'm sure they also took many important notes today here at this next forum. Very valuable insights, and I thank you, the audience, for being with us here on this session, Adventure Beyond Borders. And yes, our next session will continue, and I want to thank you all. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. Our colleagues are waiting you there to unmic you.